Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm Milene Aguiar, and I'll be helping out the webinar for today. Just a few heads up before you start, Anna. After the presentation, we will have time for questions, so you can use the Q&A box in the bottom of the Zoom page. Please use the option send to everyone, not only to the presenter, please. I'd like to welcome Anna, that will present the webinar today. Feel free to introduce yourself and start when you want. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Milene. Thank you, everybody, for coming and for joining. I know that today is probably just before the long weekend for a lot of you. So today we are on the verge of the Halloween. So thank you again. Today we will speak about the case studies, the projects that we have implemented in the city of Cali in Colombia. Finished 2022. And just before preparing for the webinar, I was thinking, okay, let's do it a Halloween webinar. What can we think about? Very scary thing about in water losses. But actually, it's very easy. I work a lot with water utilities in developing countries, which is now called low-income and medium-income countries. And there is a scary thing there that a lot of utilities report or not report water losses for more than 50% to 60%. So just how scary it is that more than half of water that is treated and pumped is actually lost on the way. So that's probably a little Halloween introduction for us, and now we'll start with the presentation. Right. So this project that we are going to see today lasted 3.5 years, was completed in 2022. The contract value was $11 million, and it was self-financed by the local utility. Local utility in Cali, it's called Cali, and the project was implemented by the consortium of Colombian engineering company con Ingeniería and Water Management International. This is a company part of French Vinci Group. So here you see 4 co-authors of this paper and the presentation. So I'm happy that Fabrice Lupo is here as well. So hopefully he will help me to answer some tricky questions if there is. He's area manager of Latin American Caribbean for the Water Management International. I'm Anna Bojko. I'm water supply specialist working worldwide on different projects. In this project, I was technical director for the studies and design team. As well, Julián Sepúlveda, non-revenue water specialist from Colombia, and Luis Eduardo Caballero, who is a part of this project from the utility side. And actually, he even presented before this project on the conference with us. So it was very nice to have a utility with us side on side presenting the results, because the results are really great. And I think our team and our company and utility as well is quite proud of this result. So we're very happy to present it and today to you as well. So today is the order of the day. I'm just going to talk a little bit in general, where is the Cali and the system, and a bit of a history, what happened before the project, what was the state of physical losses in Cali, the strategies that utility applied, the contract, the project itself, and results. Please put any questions if you have, just put them in chat. Milene will keep a track on them and we'll try to answer them after. So just to general description, let's say, of the system, we are in Colombia, and Cali is the 3rd city of Colombia, which with more than 2.5 million of population is quite a big city. It's located not far from equator at all, so very tropical, but a bit elevated, 1,000 meters above the sea level. Water supply system, as you can imagine, for such a big city is very extensive and very big. You can see here some of the facts and numbers about the system. It's a little bit more than 3,000 kilometers of the network, and it actually covers 98% population of the city of Cali. The main source of water here is from rivers, which is a majority the river Cauca. And what is very important on this slide is actually, as the system is quite flat, let's say it is 80% is supplied by direct pumping, right? So this is very important to note when we are talking about physical losses, because of course, when the majority of the system is by pumping, the losses are quite high initially already. Just to give you an idea of the utilities, they are quite well organized and advanced. They have a good GIS database and SCADA system, and they have quite modern big control center. They do have the hydraulic model, which is updated from time to time, but working quite well. And they have performed already initial sectorization. Just to tell you a little bit of background on this, in 2010, around 2010, Cali did a project, a very extensive, a big project on the initial sectorization of the city. So the sectors were defined after extensive study, and some construction works were done to implement so sectorization. The sectors were delimited, some chambers, meter chambers installed. But what I always say is that sectorization should be done in several phases, because it's very difficult to do everything at once and right. It requires a lot of time and a lot of money. So usually what happens, there is initial phase of sectorization where the all data is collected, which is usually not sufficient or not very extensive. And then the first study, the initial sectorization is done and it's implemented in the field. During this implementation, zero pressure test and valves test and measurements, initial measurements, there are a lot of surprises for utility in the field. So they realize a lot of things, they update the GIS database. And as a result, not all sectors will work. And this is normal and expected actually for this initial phase, but at least it's going there and the first data are available and can be analyzed and can be implemented, improvements can be implemented. And then comes the second stage of sectorization when all those sectors are defined a bit more clearly, organized, and necessary works are done for them to work well. So basically, this project was the second phase of sectorization for Cali. So there was already some initial sectorization done, but most of the sectors didn't work when we came, and our job was actually make them working. Right. So for talking about physical water losses before the project, there was a constant trend of increased losses in the utility. Up to 2015, this is an NRW index in percentage, and it was a constant increase rate of more than 2 points per year, which was very, very alarming. So in 2015, the utility started to be a bit an urge for some actions. They performed some studies and they identified various issues at this point. We're talking about 2015, back before the project. So starting from, they identified that they didn't have any integrated plan for managing losses. The organizational structure was inadequate. As you can imagine, there was no unit dedicated to the losses, and general low motivation among staff. As well, there was no tools that are widely accepted inside the utility, data to estimate losses, and most of the sectorization was not working, as I mentioned to you. Of course, there was a problem of all the fragile pipe with 30% of network made of asbestos cement, and the direct pumping without pressure control. at most of the points. So that point, the utility was was inside this vicious cycle. So they were supposed to, or they were obliged to supply minimum pressure to the customers. So they would pump water to comply with this pressure, but that would produce leaks, and leaks would decrease the available pressure. So they would increase the pumping head again to comply with the minimum pressure. And this increased pumping pressure would produce even more leaks. So it was a cycle that we were trying to get out from. Here you can also see the water lost in millions per year, which was very significant figures for the utility. In 2016, there was performed a very extensive study and the water balance, for the water balance and identification of different sources of non-revenue water. And actually, it was found out then that technical losses were contributed 77% of the non-revenue water, and commercial losses were less. This ratio was updated after the project. It is a new study, but still the main thing stays that technical losses are very high and a major part of non-revenue water. So in Colombia, it exists an organization called CRA, the Commission for Regulation of Potable Water and Sewer in Colombia. So this regulator, National Colombian regulator, put a target in 2015 that utilities needs to achieve 16.3, what is called IPUF, but actually it's a loss index in meters cubed per built user per month in 2021. This is in Spanish, IPUF is the índice de pérdidas por usuario facturado. But this is a national measure of non-revenue water that is actually was part of the project. Just to give you a relevance to the more, let's say, international units, in 2015, Cali had 788 liters per day per active connection losses. And the target was to achieve in 2021 536 liters per day per active connection, right? It's just as a reference. Right. So that was a target set by the regulator, and Cali had to do something to achieve it. So what they did, in 2015, they developed a water loss recovery plan. Very extensive plan covering all the areas of water supply. And they identified projects, and they could estimate how much recovery they can expect from addressing different problems. As you can see here at the bottom, when we talk about technical losses or physical losses, the majority of the recovery would come from control of non-visible leaks and zoning pressure management, right? So actually, this project was to address those two issues. So in 2019, the international tendering process, Cali contracted a consortium of Water Management International con Ingeniería to implement design and construction works for pressure optimization and sectorization and non-visible leak control for the city of Cali. Right. So now I will present actually the details of the project itself and some technical parts. We will talk a little bit more technical here. So in the project, there was three main parts, three flows of works that were implemented simultaneously in parallel. So first one was hydraulic sector optimization and pressure control. So basically sectorization and pressure control. And we're talking about 50 sectors, which is more than half of the city network, which included various activities from investigation, DMA tests, measurements, modeling of all the sectors and calibration, and choosing the optimal alternative for the water loss reduction. And as well as finalizing in design and actual construction works. The second flow of works were detection and repair of invisible leaks, which I repeat was in parallel actually with the first part. So 2,400 kilometers were investigated and repaired twice during those 3 years of project. We are talking about active leak detection, repair, and main replacement where needed, and as well, large diameter pipe repairs. And the third part, and probably a very important part of this project, was result evaluation and operational assistance. We have worked with Cali to assist in the day-to-day operations during the project and the maintenance. But as well, we have continuously evaluated the results of the water losses reduction as a result of the activity that we were doing, the leak repair, the pressure management, the sectorization. So it was from in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end as well. So the project was a design and build project, and we mobilized 150 people during those 3 years, and 20% of them were women. I'm very proud of that figure because it's not always easy to have women's presence in such numbers on a construction project, but it really helped us actually, and it helped in a lot of ways. And creating very positive environment and employing very talented young ladies, engineers from Colombia. And actually, just to say that 95% of the staff were Colombians. So we only had a small group of people who came as international experts. So here you can see various activities that we did. And actually, a lot of these activities were performed simultaneously in the field. So we had to do a lot of coordination and logistics to be able to intervene as many as possible, as quick as possible, and optimize all the works. We did studies, we did hydraulic modeling, calibration, design, we had GIS team, we had sector operations, as zero pressure control, investigations, measurements, including the pressures, the flow measurements, the large consumers measurements. We have inspected and repaired valves, actually almost 100% of valves of all the sectors where we worked. We did construction works, of course, measurement chambers, stations, pipes, critical points, and leaks localization and repair continues. This is contract outcomes for the sectorization part. We have completed and put in regulations 50 hydraulic sectors, including construction of 50 new pressure regulating stations and 50 critical points. All of them were integrated into SCADA, existing SCADA. We have changed and repaired 2,500 valves, 3 kilometers of pipes, and actually the client, the utility, they asked us to install 4 different active pressure control technologies. And it was to make some kind of benchmarking among different technologies, what we have done. And we have found out that the most challenging actually was to incorporate some of the technologies into SCADA. So this part was the most challenging in the project of control. And additional to this, we have implemented the control of one macro sector, very big sector, very challenging socially, and with very high water losses. It was my macro sector, and we constructed 5 control stations at the entrances of this sector. And actually, we have implemented a bit different, innovative way of regulation, pressure regulation. So during the night, water was passing by the PRV and pressure was reduced. But during the day, when the maximum pressure was needed in the sector, the automatic isolation valve on the bypass could open and let all the pressure come in without regulation. Here you can see a very beautiful picture and very nice pressure and measurement station at the entrance to one of the sectors. Very, very aesthetic for me. Here, just to give you an idea a little bit about the works we did as a part of sectorization and pressure control. Construction works, regulation, repair, SCADA, design and studies. For the second part of the project, which is leaks, non-visible leaks, we have started with the baseline estimation, including the measurement of line flow, calculation of N1, and also large consumers measurements. We have performed acoustic leak detection and found and repaired 5,300 leaks on the 4,680 kilometers of the network. So basically it was entire network below 300 millimeters worked twice. And what is important, and I think it's a very important indicator, is that 95% of leaks were found on the circuit connection, including saddle, right? And plus to this, we repaired 35 leaks on large diameters of the pipe more than 400 millimeters. So here on the next slide, I can show you some of the repairs, some of the leaks that we worked with. You can see big works. Saved a lot of water by repairing those. So now coming to the results of the contract, but as well as the results we estimated were for each activity we did. So that's why we could tell some of the distribution of the water saving by the activity. We did the bottom-up analysis before and after leak repair, and we have compared final of the contract and baseline estimates. So you can see here that infrastructure leakage index decreased from 27 to 18. And the losses here, the yellow table at the bottom, this is losses per kilometer, per day per kilometer, as well decreased and water saved. So basically we have been certified by utility of saving in production 67,000 meters cubed per day. And that was certified with measured minimum night flow. Okay, I'll show you the certificate just in a while. We have found that 25% of this night flow reduction was actually thanks to pressure optimization, and 75% was to leak repair. So here you can see that both activities are very effective. But of course, leak repair is very effective on reduction of water losses. At the end of the project, 75% of the distribution network of Cali was under control of utility with pressure regulation. And they now have 71 hydraulic sectors operational. Here, just to give you a certificate, view of certificate that we have received, the official certificate of the utility, confirming the water saved by the project. And here is a reduction of water loss index in percentage from 2016 to 2021, and it was reduced by 10%. And most of it was thanks to our projects that we implemented on physical losses reduction. On the table on the right, you can see that in general was a whole program of big plans that Cali was implementing since 2015. They managed to reduce production volume by 2 meters cubed per second. And this includes 0.8 meters cubed per second that our project reduced, right? And here on the graph, they estimate reduction of the loss volume and different activities and events as well, because there was a COVID in the middle that contributed to reduction or to increase of water losses, right? So there was leaks repaired that straight away result in a big reduction, but as well control of pressure, reduction of pressure in the hydraulic sectors. So our project is the last red arrow where we have worked. If you remember from the slide about the CRA, the national regulator, and the target 16.3 that was supposed the utilities had to achieve in 2021-22. Here is in blue is a projected reduction in loss index, and in orange is actual reduction. So actually, Cali managed to drop the loss index 3 points below the national target, which was a big achievement, and one of the, of course, one of the points why we're so proud of this project. So they managed to reduce, to put into units, international units, they managed to reduce 344 liters per day per active connection. And just to give an idea how much water was saved in the project, so basically it's equivalent of 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools per day, or of a medium water treatment plant, which would be enough for consumption of 300,000 people. So we are talking about very good reduction in water loss. That would prevent actually construction of a new treatment plant as a capex expense. Here we have calculated cost-benefit analysis of the contract. So for the cost, the contract value was $11.2 million, and we intervene into 2,400 kilometers of network, which gives a cost of $4,500 per kilometer. Calculating the benefit of water saved, so we are talking about 53.3 meters cubed per day per kilometer. If we apply marginal cost of production of water, $0.35 per meter cube, and we convert it into length of the network, and we say that we have saved this water over 1.5 years period, it will give us benefit of $10,200 per kilometer, which in turn gives us a benefit cost ratio of 2.27, which is really great. And I need to make 2 notes here, important notes. First, this cost, as I explained before, doesn't include the cost of some sectorization works that was done before the contract, the first phase of the sectorization. So we're talking only about our project here. And second, benefit to cost ratio is actually quite conservative, because we could argue that sustainability period of a project is more. This is just half of the project duration, but actually even after project is finished, still water is saved thanks to our interventions. So it could be even better benefit to cost ratio. Now I would like to spend a little bit time on this slide and explain a little bit more the factors that we believe contribute to the success of the project. Because I think It's important. There are a lot of projects for water loss reduction and non-revenue water, and it's very difficult to actually reduce water and measure the reduction of water, of a reduction of water losses as a result of the project. But here it was quite clear. So, and there were several factors that contributed to it. I am very strong supporter of pilots, always, everywhere pilots, because it just saves a lot of time and money for the project. So here in 2015, Water Management International did a pilot study. It's a mini project, it's the same, but mini project on 2 sectors. It was financed by the French Development Agency. And actually, all those activities were performed on 2 sectors, and they showed results, they showed reduction of losses, which actually allowed Cali, the utility, to estimate and to construct a contract and to estimate the effort, problems, money, timeline needed for the bigger project. Parallel to the project, there were organizational changes in the water utility itself, which helped a lot in the success, in the results that we achieved. As it was a requirement of national regulator to reduce the water losses index, so we had a green light from higher management, from local authorities, for construction works, for studies. So that helped enormously because all the MCAD, including high management, were following and supporting the project and were personally interested in the results. As I mentioned before, this contract was integrated contract of design and build and assessment. So this design and build part, which was awarded to one contractor, was very important because basically we didn't have anybody to blame for bad design or bad construction. So it's us who did design and us who did construction. We could follow up, we could see develop solutions that are more suitable for the particular conditions. And so it was quite smooth, and we could do a lot of activities at the same time, design and construction on 50 sectors, and it was going like a continuous flow of works. The contract was built initially as a performance-based contract, but due to the local legislation issues, it was not possible to perform it as a to realize it as a performance-based contract. So it actually was unit prices contract, which gave us some flexibility in a way to suggest and to do the measures and activities that would be the most beneficial for the reduction of water loss. Of course, we had the utility on our back all the time and controlling us all the time, but at the end they were interested in the same. So we have managed to go to the end and we have managed to implement what was planned. This initially high-level physical losses maybe not the very obvious factor, but it's a very important factor because we started with already high level of physical water losses, as you have seen, almost 60%. So almost any reasonable measure would result in reduction of leaks and losses. Because of course, starting with level of physical losses when it's low, it will cost much more and more effort to reduce it, even a small percent. Bringing international expertise was, I think, is a good idea. And so utility was determined to do the best that is available, to apply the best knowledge. And it was a very good pool and a mixture of classical engineering school, Colombian school, of all the engineers from utility who know their network very well, who worked there for a long time, us who brought international experts in the domain, and we brought with us a bit more know-how and what is applied internationally in best practices, and as well of a lot of young talented engineers that we worked with. So that was a formula of success, actually. And I'm happy to say that engineers who worked with us on the project, some of them and many of them continued to work in the field and even joined the local utility and bringing all this knowledge into the utility. We were all working as one team with utility. We were all focused on making a result. Well, it was obligatory by regulator for utility, and it was important for us as a project. But it was very positive environment, and we were all very positive and determined to make a difference and to actually do something and save water for the people of Cali. As I say, there was a lot of activities going on in the field at the same time, plus all the operational day-to-day activities. And we had to coordinate and be like a one team with utility. We were basically together, speaking all the time and trying to optimize what we are doing. And as I mentioned before, continuously estimating the impact of one action or one measure, one construction on a flow, night flow, water losses, doing water balance regularly helped us to be a bit more flexible and more reactive and proactive as well. Right, but it was not without problems. Of course, we had some challenges and problems, and one of them, it was pandemic. If you think about the dates of this project, the pandemic was just in the middle. But we were given green light by the local authority because it was the priority project in Cali. We have never stopped. We worked through pandemic as a design from home, and as construction. Construction never stops. Construction works were going on. Were accelerating through pandemic, taking advantage of no traffic and little people on the streets. So actually, we turned it into our benefit. In general, Colombia and Cali in particular is very challenging social and political environment, which I think we worked well with at the end. And we lived through some social unrest on the streets and working in some socially challenging areas. But we went through it without any major problem, and we managed to complete as a project as expected, even better. Just a couple of last slides. Here, MCADI actually positioned the project in terms of cost-benefits ratio on the World Bank benchmarking graph. And actually, the plan is not too bad at all compared to other projects worldwide. And the similar graphs here for the efficiency ratio. And MCADI has quite outstanding results for this. So I would like to thank you all for listening for this presentation. I would like to say special thank you to MCADI. And actually on the last conference in San Sebastian Water Loss Conference, we presented together with the father of this project, Luis Eduardo from MCADI. So it was nice to have a utility with us presenting. I would project team, as well Michel Vermes, who actually was consulted on the consumption of this project, and we utilized his material for the contract before the contract. Just to finish, I invite you all, if you are not yet, to join International Water Association Water Specialist Group. And we are present in several social medias. I'm in the management committee of the water specialist group. We have a newsletter which you can subscribe even without being member of International Water Association. It's really specialized in water losses, and it's announced some webinars coming, conferences, and some news. We have as well a LinkedIn group, community group, where anybody can post any relevant information. This webinar will be recorded and posted tomorrow on the YouTube channel of Water Loss Specialist Group, and you can see others videos very interesting there anytime. There are quite a lot of them. And as well, Water Specialist Group organize conferences every 2 years. Here we presented this paper as well on a conference 2024 in April in San Sebastian, in Spain.
Thank you so much, Anna. Great presentation. We do have some questions here. First of all, Cesar Garcia from Nasterra is asking, do you have data on number of leaks found for non-visible leaks?
I actually saw that on the slide. It said 2,500.
Okay, that's great. So it's...
Yeah, you have the ratio to kilometer. How many per kilometer? Yeah, you can make a ratio on the slide.
But
Thank you,
those
Cesar.
leaks were found on over 4,000 kilometers, but your zone of intervention was only 2,400 kilometers. So you did over the period several surveys, correct?
2, exactly. So I'll just go back to slide. Exactly. So twice. We did twice. So you can see here 75. No, sorry. Back. Here, yeah. So basically the entire network was inspected twice. Yeah.
And what was the difference in time? Every 2 years, a year? How far apart in time were they?
I think it was one run completed and then they restarted. So it would be, yeah, one
right
and a
away.
half year problem.
Okay.
Yeah, 1.5 year problem.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great. Another question here from Alan White. Your indicator is cubic meters per month per build user, but you also mentioned that loss per active connection. These terms get misunderstood often because of terms in different languages. So I ask, were there more build users than connections?
No, it was per connection. Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right. This is very important because in the indicators, IWA indicators group, we have people who use cuentas or customers or, branchement or tomas, all these different words are misunderstood. But a connection is very different than a user. I mean, in Brazil, you have 25% more users than connections, so thank you. It's just very important to have that clear.
And depending on the area, it can be up to like twice the number of connections. That's correct. Yeah. So you were talking about connections in your indicator. Is that correct, Anna?
Yes, and actually it needs to be very clear, and like we can go back to the regulators papers and exactly what says, but actually it's basically dividing, taking from the commercial database. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I understood, that taking from commercial database all the active connections, and so basically in dividing those water losses by that number. So it get intervened with commercial losses as well a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that has to be specified carefully. And okay, thank you. You've answered the question. Thank you very much.
Real quick, can I ask one quick question? Is it okay? When it came to the water leaks that were found, were you finding them when you were digging up to replace the piping, or did you use certain tools to find those, like acoustical devices or whatnot?
To find them, we have used acoustic detection, and here you can see actually the photo of one of the field works.
Okay.
Acoustic detection. So they were going several, I think we had 4 teams or 6 teams going on the streets and marking. They were marking on the ground where they found leaks. And then another 4 teams, more like construction teams, because they needed to come and dig behind. They were logging in. And then another team was doing the job of digging, repairing, refilling back, and all these things.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Cesar. Another one here, Jaime Plazas Tato. I really enjoyed the presentation. It was very insightful, especially considering the challenges with water loss in Colombia's biggest cities. I wanted to ask if there are any other projects planned here. Water loss in distribution networks is still a major issue in urban areas, and I'd be interested in knowing more if there are upcoming initiatives. Thanks again for all the information you shared. So do you know about upcoming projects?
Well, in Cali for sure they're planning projects, because basically these kind of things needs to be done on constant basis, right? Non-visible leaks and visible leaks as well. And most of the utilities, many utilities in Colombia, I guess, would not have enough staff always to deal with all of that. So the project was actually to assist utility, but we did it for 3.5 years, but it needs to continue, it needs to be done. So, and some more programs and addressing commercial losses as well. So I'm sure Cali is planning further projects and large scale, and I'm quite sure other utilities as well, because in general in Colombia, the water losses are quite high.
Okay. Guys, I'd like just to excuse myself because I'm muting everybody. And if you want to say, please raise your hand, because sometimes we have kind of background noise. So sorry if I'm just... okay, I can see, but let's go into this order here. Alema, you are raising your hand? You can activate your sound right now. Okay, in this meantime, while he activates his microphone, Alan White is saying that he did those World Bank graphs, but they are not up to date, and he would like to add this project to the updated graph, so you can talk between you two. That would be great. And Alemayu Casa is saying great presentation, and I think you were trying to ask something. Is that correct? Okay, you can turn on your microphone whenever you want, okay? Mohammed Mansour is asking, were there any prioritizing of area or target areas to address the leakage? If so, how were they prioritized? I think you told us that you made the whole systems twice. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was not, well, it was almost entire of the city, actually. We did prioritize. After talking to the operator, after talking to the utility, they had some priority areas where they knew there was a lot of leaks and they needed to intervene. So yes, but in generally, they try to do the whole thing anyway.
Okay, and Frederic Gautron, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing this correctly. Do you know whether the reduction of losses resulted in a better water supply, therefore higher volume built?
No, not high volume build exactly. The reduction was of physical losses. So basically, it resulted in a low production volume, right? They didn't change tariffs, and I think the consumption, it's 24-hour supply, right? Rarely there are parts of water just in very dry period. So the consumption was still the same. And we actually decreased the pressure a little bit. So, but user side, was not affected, but for Cali, they reduced their production volumes and production costs.
Thank you, Anna. Alemayo, would you like to talk now?
Yeah, I want to talk now. Thank you for giving me the chance.
Yeah, yes, we hear you, please.
I want to know device regarding the leakage devices.
It was acoustic leak detection. We had various devices.
Yeah. Currently, I'm working in an international company which works on more of reduction of water loss. And the name for the company is Mia Water, Spain's company, but they are working here in Ethiopia, and I'm one of the hydraulic engineer working with them, senior hydraulic engineer. And most of the time, what we face practically in our project is we are unable to detect the exact point where the leak is found. So there are different devices as usual. Obviously, we have like jaw phone with elephant foot type, sound rod, sticks, but each device have its own limitation and strong side. And which device was really applicable for your company?
I think you can see on the spot is a jaw phone with elephant foot. I think that's what we use, but we have a team in Water Management International. We have a team of water leak detector specialists that have been working. They have a very extensive experience in all different countries since more than 20 years. They're very good guys, and they go where we have projects, and they have lots of experience in this. And I think it also depends on the experience of people. But as to answer your question, I think it was a geophone with a foot size where elephant would detect.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sorry, next one. Water, Alan White, the paper was not part of the proceedings of San Sebastian. How could we get these slides? Oh, it's important because a lot of people want to get the presentation. If you can, okay.
Yep.
Or
no problem.
Or write your email here, or as she already told us, you can find her at LinkedIn. Is that correct, Anna?
Yeah, you can find and write to me to LinkedIn. I'm active on LinkedIn and I reply, and I can send you the PDF version of the presentation. No problem.
Okay, next one, the zone of intervention was 2,400 kilometers, which is about 2/3 of the whole network as I understand it. Are the reductions specified for just the zone of intervention or for the whole network?
No, the reduction was calculated in a reduction of the production volume. So it was for the whole network. There is another part where I spoke before. It's Jumbo. It's a little bit satellite city, let's say. So it was treated separately. So here we are talking about really urban area of Cali, and it was for the results for the whole network. Yeah.
Okay, now another one about the indicator, but now we know its connections, so we don't have to go through that again. Congratulations to Cali for their continued work in reducing physical losses. Thanks for the presentation. Are the targets by CRA available to the public? Perhaps on the CRA website. Are they available?
Yeah, it was. It's if you Google it, you will get probably. Maybe it's updated because the target was 2021. So I guess they have already updated version of the documents and updated version of the target, but for sure it's all publicly available and can be searched in the internet. Yes. Here you can see actually on the graph, CRA 688 from 2014. So I'm sure there is another legislation document, regulator document similar now.
Yeah, that's perfect. We do have some more people talking, but it's just between themselves. And I think we are right on time, Anna. perfect timing.
Perfect.
We do
Always
have
with me, perfect timing.
We do have like 3 more minutes, and if you wanna say something or just thank everybody, and thank you very much for this great presentation. I think it was perfect, and we had a lot of people commenting and asking questions. Thank you for that, and congratulations for the presentation.
Thank you very much, Melanie, for moderating. And I would like to invite all the people to join, because you don't need to be always an International Water Station member to receive news, to present on conference, to do the webinars. Join and present your project, and especially we invite utilities or people who represent utilities to present. And it's not difficult. It's usually accepted as easily, let's say, and it's very nice because those presentations will be available forever on YouTube, and people can learn from them, and you can present as yourself, your company, your project, and some useful things for the community.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you, everybody, for joining, and have a long weekend if you have a long weekend in front of you, and have a good evening, day, morning, wherever you are.
Okay.